Vielen Dank, der Abend geht gut los. Guten Abend, ich bin Jannika Gellinek vom Literaturhaus Berlin, heiße euch und Sie ganz herzlich hier willkommen im Zirkus Kabuwazi, in der Manege, im Ring sozusagen. Und bevor wir jetzt in das Wrestling-Vokabular einsteigen, möchte ich einmal kurz nachfragen, wer weiß, was Kayfabe ist? Aha, kein Wrestling-Publikum hier, ja, vereinzelt, okay, da vorne. Ihr werdet darüber gleich noch mehr hören, aber ich wollte es vorab einmal kurz erklären. Es ist sowas wie die Wahrung der vierten Wand. Also ganz grob runtergebrochen, vielleicht eine stillschweigende Übereinkunft zwischen Bühne und Publikum, dass ihr alles glaubt, was hier passiert. Das ist sozusagen, ihr stellt das nicht in Zweifel. Und wie der Wrestler Triple H, ihr seht, ich habe meine Recherche gemacht, der ist augenblicklich Chief Content Officer des World Wrestling Entertainment und er sagt über das Publikum, people that are smart enough to accept the fact that this is a show and buy into characters and the storyline and engage in it in that matter. So, das heißt, ihr wisst ungefähr, was von euch erwartet wird heute Abend. Über diese Kayfabe werdet ihr auch gleich noch mehr hören. Aber wir haben festgestellt vom Literaturhaus Berlin, wir sind da mittlerweile auch nicht ungefährdet, uns vielleicht mit sowas wie den Rolling Stones oder so einem fahrenden Volk zu verwechseln. Wir sind jetzt seit 2 Jahren unterwegs in der ganzen Stadt. Wir haben über 80 Veranstaltungsorte bespielt. Meine Kollegen, ich weiß nicht, ob ihr das gesehen habt, haben ein T-Shirt, wo hinten wie so eine Band alles draufsteht, wo wir waren. Und deswegen haben wir jetzt sozusagen noch mal kurz vor Rückzug in die Fasanenstraße sind wir in den Zirkus gegangen, sozusagen, um unseren Kayfabe hier noch mal auf einen Höhepunkt zu bringen, auf dem Tempelhofer Feld mit einem Einladungsticket für ganz Berlin, 1 €. Auch das noch eine kleine Frage. War der Eintrittspreis für irgendwen von euch entscheidend heute Abend? Nee, es ist für uns eine wichtige Umfrageergebnis. Nein, okay, war es nicht. Gut zu... Ja. Danke. Und nicht nur das, wir haben heute Abend auch noch 2 Stars in der Manege. Damit hat unser Kayfabe wirklich jetzt sehr große Ausmaße angenommen. Einen solchen Abend könnten wir in der Fasanenstraße nicht realisieren. Und im Moment genießen wir das noch. An diesem wunderschönen Sommertag, dass sich die Realität für uns so ein bisschen verschoben hat. Leider aber habe ich trotz aller Selbstüberschätzung nicht die Statur und auch nicht die Stimme, mit der man heute Abend die beiden Stars ansagen müsste. Ich bitte euch also um einen Wrestling-Mania-würdigen Applaus jetzt für Joey Goebel und Benedict Wells. Schön, dass ihr da seid.
That's nice. Dankeschön, that's so sweet of you, and I really appreciate Benedict being here with me. I appreciate all of you being here with me because if you're like me, last night you partied hard for Pfingsten. It was crazy. I got all the Pfingsten gifts, drank a lot. And I just really appreciate you getting out of bed today and coming here. Thank you so much.
You really are into this Pfingsten thing, right?
I got Pfingsten fever, baby.
Your favorite word in German. Joey, I have to ask you before we start, like the most reasonable question, maybe the question all of you have on the top of your minds, especially like in literature context, why wrestling?
No, that's a fair question. Normally one would not associate pro wrestling with literary fiction. But let me start. I've been fascinated with wrestling since the age of 9. And in terms of why I'm so fascinated by wrestling, I actually I might embarrass myself, but I want to use a German word.
Go on.
I'm going to try a German word. Wrestling is a Gesamtkunstwerk. Did I get it? And what I think that means, unless I misread, what I think that means is that it's a work that encompasses many different art forms into a unified whole. Does that sound accurate? Okay, so hear me out. First of all, on the surface, you have the athleticism. And you might think, well, sports, that's not an art form. Well, I beg to differ. In some ways, it's more like ballet or dance than it is a sport. They're dancing in there. They're choreographing this for maximum effect. I think you all would agree that ballet is an art form. You have theater. Theater of the absurd. You have tragedy. You have comedy. Sometimes romance. There's the writing aspect. Naturally, I'm interested in that. Not only are the performers telling a story in the ring, and I often hear wrestlers talk about this. We're telling a story in here. There's a story arc to the match. There's rising action. There's a climax, etc. And there's also the fact that so much creative work went in to the match that we see in the ring. What am I leaving out? It's a rock concert. It's spectacle. It's art. Their costumes are works of art. So that's one reason. I feel like I'm talking too much.
I can come up with the next question.
No, I got more.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is, since I was a child, this always fascinated me. So the entire time, these people are providing the illusion that they are attacking and hurting each other. In reality, they're doing everything in their power to protect one another, to preserve one another. Let that sink in. Isn't that a lovely thought? Okay? And see, Auggie in the book, he's rather cynical, and he says in real life, it's the opposite of that. In real life, we provide the illusion that we all care about each other, but we're secretly trying to destroy one another. Finally, but this, I want to throw this back to you. It's unlike other sports because it is specifically designed for the most dramatic possible effect. In fact, Vince McMahon himself said, there's nothing that satisfies me more than entertaining the consumer in the most spectacular, popular way. You don't always get this in other sports. I know football's big over here. Sometimes they'll do it for 3 hours. It'll be 1-0. You mentioned your baseball experience.
That was tough. Yeah, baseball, I was in St. Louis, I think, and we were there for 3 hours. And we were so hyped, we were like buying tickets, St. Louis Cardinals, I think.
That's right.
We were like, wonderful to have a hot dog, let's watch it. And literally after 3 hours, we were all like, let's go, right? It's really boring. I can't stand this any longer. And nobody cared. Nobody was watching this. Everyone else was also like talking or whatever. It was just more like to bring people together, but the sport itself was absolutely ignored by everyone. Rightly so, because it was so boring. Sorry to say if there is a baseball maniac here.
So imagine this. What if every baseball game was scripted in such a way that it always went to the bottom of the ninth? It was always it was tied, bases loaded. What if you could get it that way every time? That's what wrestling does. You are going to be entertained. Let me try another German word. It is never langweilig, which I know because some mean critics said I Against Osborne was langweilig. But
so wrong.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. No, we have in football this famous quote, I think Herberger, he was like a former coach, he said, people are going to football because they don't know how it will end. Very simple. I mean, now it's a bit shallow since, for example, Bayern Munich wins every year, but it used to mean something. The opposite, but I see your point. But I wanted to ask, because you once told me you had like 2 ideas for your next novel, and one was a very promising, interesting, I think like crime-ish idea, right? But then you said, no, I'm gonna write about wrestling now. And for me, you had like the sweetest reason ever for a book.
Oh, thank you for that. I just love him. By the way, this no kayfabe here. This is not an illusion. He's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, we know each other since.
Oh, to the point where like probably 3 out of every 4 books that I sell in Germany are probably due to him saying go buy his book. So thank you so much.
Okay, then we have to go back. All these precious questions that are written down.
I got an answer.
But let's come back to the other. Okay. But no, Joey is a true friend. 7 years ago, for example, I was at your place in a very heavy time. I mean, dear person of my life was dying, and I was there with you, with my cousin from Italy, and we were like this weird group of people in your house. And this refers back. There we spotted something where you have to first answer the question.
You got it. So, the origin of Sunset Flip and why I wrote it lies in the book that I chose not to write. Okay, and the origin of that book was the Ripley series. You all know Diogenes is in the entertainment business now, and I watched and enjoyed Ripley, and the cranks in my brain started turning, and I thought, I want to get me some of that Netflix money. And so I specifically designed a book that I thought could easily be adapted into a Netflix series. In fact, like each chapter was called, season 1. So it was all laid out. And I worked on that thing, my eyes filled with dollar signs, and I just could not figure it out. I could not figure it out. It took like a year. It just would not work. Cut to my son's 12th birthday. My son, Joe, and I had been a wrestling fan, as I say, since the age of 9. Around the time he was 11 or 12, Joe caught the wrestling bug. And I had already had this idea, the concept of a wrestler who confuses his fictional character with himself and starts bringing that fiction home with him. I thought, that's interesting. That's a novel. And when I saw that Joe was interested in wrestling, I scrapped the idea for the Netflix money. And I thought, if I write this book, this could serve as a platform to bond with my son. And so we would go on walks in downtown Henderson, Kentucky, and we would bounce ideas off of each other. I was like, well, I want a guy based on The Undertaker. What should we call him? And he's like, how about Mr. Never? And you got it. And so I joke with him. He is my co-author. Benedict, long story short, if that's possible at this point, you should always write from the heart. With the Netflix thing, I was not writing from the heart whenever I decided on wrestling, even though, let's face it, it's probably not the most profitable idea. I was writing from the heart, and if I don't sell a single copy, I know that my sweet Joe will still love it. Oh, don't. Oh.
No. I don't think it's possible that you're 80 years old. Hey, Joey, what's the regrets in your life? Yeah, I think I shouldn't have written that book where I connected with my son. Maybe have a Netflix show instead. Maybe this is going to be turned into a Netflix show. We don't know that. but his son is, sorry that you can't hear this, but his son is like the brightest kid I probably ever met somehow. I was with my cousin Adrian, and we were both like, we were talking, this kid is insane, yeah, whatever. It was really like, we were fans, and it's, yeah. Now he's in high school, first year.
He's 14.
That's where your books come in.
Yeah.
You have written that about that time, and but you already hinted it a bit. So many wrestlers, or so many people involved in wrestling have tragic lives. It's insane. It's like you Google this character. I did that after reading your book. This character and that character, and they all have early deaths, or like losing family, or being isolated and alone, or abusing drugs, obviously, and so on. It's almost Shakespeare on every single Wikipedia entry. And you also mentioned, for example, Vince McMahon. This is kind of like the inventor of the wrestling we know, at least in Germany. He's also referred in your book as under the name Stan McGowan, right?
We could say that,
kind
sure.
of, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's not go into legal. It's maybe not. We don't know. Why do you think is that? Why do you think is this insane pool of tragic stories in wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's very hard, Benedict, for a wrestler to end their career gracefully. That very rarely happens. Any of you all actually follow wrestling? I think John Cena, that's about as close as you can get.
He's an actor now. He kind of like, there's one door maybe out going into acting.
Yeah, and they gave him a proper retirement match. Oh, and an Austrian beat him, Gunther, one of my favorites. But to answer your question, the human body is not meant to be put through what wrestling puts him through. I'll give you an example. This book tour, I mean, I'll be here 12 days, okay? I'm doing 6 readings. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. I do well to get out of bed, going from hotel to hotel, and can you imagine doing that over 300 days a year? Yes, this will be mentioned possibly in a reading passage later, but I think that's important. Unlike legitimate sports, wrestling has no off-season, all right? They are expected to leave their families and be on the road for over 300 days a year. And I haven't even mentioned what happens to their bodies in the ring.
Fair. Talking about wrestling, who knows these famous characters? For example, who here knows about The Undertaker? It's not so many, not so little. And who knows about Bret Hitman Hart? The same people? Yeah, and then, well, this is the best shot we have now. Who knows about Hulk Hogan?
There you go.
Okay, because this is kind of like the era where your book takes place, like
Yes.
late 80s, early 90s, where this whole thing was, really becoming big, becoming something. And I think let's start maybe with the first reading part.
All right.
We're gonna do a mix here between German and English. And when I had to prepare the reading part, I stumbled once again over the unique style in your book. You really did something that I probably never have seen in a book. You have 2 very different styles, which is still, we know that from literature, but you installed one style that is almost like a screenplay with no insight into the characters. It's only descriptions from their bodies, how they look, what they say, and so on. And this is the present time, and it's also written in present. And then you have like the other style is like the past. You tell more literature-ish what happened in the past until these 2 meet somehow, and we understand the full picture. And this is a very interesting way. I will be frank. It's not so easy to come into because you have to understand where you are. But once it clicks, it's almost impossible to stop to read. I read this book, you go dinner, I was like in south of France, like a super beautiful holiday, and I was like, go ahead, I have to read, and I couldn't stop anymore. I was thrilled, and I was so scared because of the characters, what happens. It's really, we start today with the beginning, so have in mind, it's a very, on purpose, a very blank style, but it's, you will see later other parts too, and in this character, first of all, how did you come up with that style? Was this like an early decision, or did it develop later?
It was an early decision. You know what? This is something I wanted to ask you. Okay, so I have been at this a long time, this writing thing. I'm 45. My first paid writing gig, I was 18. And I am just now getting to the point where I trust my own instincts. I trust my gut. 20 years ago, this rather radical decision to tell the story this way, I would have second-guessed myself to the point where it never would have happened. But I'm finally to the point now, forgive me if this sounds arrogant, but I'm finally to the point now where I say, Joey, you've written 6 books. You have earned the right to trust your gut.
How arrogant.
I'm a heel. You don't feel this way?
I think trusting your gut is also something that you always have. It's such a delicate process, because sometimes the solution lies in trusting yourself, trust your gut, and sometimes you need someone to tell you, and now we scrap everything and we do something very different out of it. Oh yeah, shit, it's right. I use critique to understand where my guts are. If someone criticizes me, for example, if I were you and someone would tell me, you can't do this, these 2 styles, my gut reacts. Either I want to defend the style, make it invincible, make it stronger, or I feel, yeah, maybe she's right or he's right, maybe I should change. So I need the critique to understand where my gut is or what my gut says, because dividing fear from gut feeling is very delicate. Sometimes it appears as the same first, and I need harsh critique to understand which is which.
That never occurred to me to ask for an outside opinion. Should I try that?
It worked though.
But to answer your question, I decided the odd chapters, 1, 3, 5, 7, okay, it's the objective point of view. And he's right, it reads like a screenplay. You only see the surface, very little narration, no thoughts of the characters. It's primarily dialogue. A nice byproduct of that, the tempo. You can read this. If some of you all are on the fence, should I buy Sunset Flip? It's a fast read. It's a fast read because of that. But then the alternating chapters use the third person omniscient point of view. We finally see the characters, and so the idea, and see, trusting my gut paid off. The idea is it reflected something that goes on with wrestling. In the objective chapters, I have a camera on the characters. You only are allowed to see what the camera wants you to see. This is wrestling. The audience is only allowed to see what the camera shows them. But then in those even chapters, I pull back the curtain, and you don't get many answers in the objective chapters, but to satisfy the reader, hopefully get them to keep turning those pages, I pull back the curtain and show what goes on behind the scenes.
It was very satisfying coming back to these parts for a second time, because I understand what you did. Now I see the work. And so let's give an example with the first reading part. It's I'm gonna give one helping hand. The main character's name is Auggie Schnuck, right? Schnuck?
Auggie Schnuck.
Schnuck. Really Schnuck, not Schnuck.
We can go.
Okay. No, we can. You are the. What shall I say? You decide.
Schnuck.
Okay, Schnuck. Okay, Auggie Schnuck is the main character, and he has like a wrestling persona called The Aug. Just a little helping hand. First reading part, there are some cuts in it. Let's go. 4. Juli 1989. San Rafael, Kalifornien. Ein Mann mit langer brauner Mähne sitzt auf dem Beifahrersitz eines roten VW Golf. Auf dem Fahrersitz neben ihm eine hübsche Blonde. Beide dürften um die 30 sein. Sie stehen auf dem leeren Parkplatz eines Toys R Us. Der Himmel ist bedeckt. Ich habe versucht, distinctive Stimmen zu machen. Ihr werdet dann sehen, das ist noch wichtig, sonst wird ja. Der Himmel ist bedeckt. Das weiß ich ja. Aber überleg mal, wie schlecht es noch vor einem Jahr aussah. Und er hat es mit dir hingekickt. Ich meine, guck dich doch mal an. Ich würde ja sagen, wir haben es mit ihm hingekickt. Ich weiß, aber letzten Endes ist es doch gut gelaufen. Ja, nur, dass ich dabei fast draufgegangen wäre. Und zwar seinetwegen. Er ist braun gebrannt und hat markante Gesichtszüge. Seinen Hals könnte man fast als dick bezeichnen. In seinen Augenbrauen scheinen seine Gedanken zu stecken und die sind nicht unbedingt fröhlich. Und im schlimmsten Fall nehmen wir an, er zieht es nicht durch und macht dich nicht zum Champion. Das war ja nie das Ziel. Das ist The Augs Ziel. Aber eigentlich, wenn ich so drüber nachdenke, ist das wirklich The Augs Ziel? Der Mann lacht kurz auf. Ja, The Aug will den Gürtel, der Idiot. Sie lacht. Sie hat ein breites, aufrichtiges Lächeln mit einer kleinen, aber durchaus auffälligen Zahnlücke zwischen den Schneidezähnen. Gesunde, sinnliche Lippen. Die langen, glatten Haare sind zum Pferdeschwanz zusammengebunden. Er würde es nicht zugeben, aber The Aug steht auf Glamour. Und bei meinen langfristigen Plänen für ihn wird er den Gürtel wollen. Er wird alles haben wollen. So habe ich jedenfalls seinen Charakter angelegt. Was mich betrifft, wenn ich den Gürtel bekomme, dann noch dementsprechend mehr Geld. Dann können wir das Haus bezahlen und wenn beim Merch so viel reinkommt, wie ich denke, wobei ich mir da nicht ganz sicher bin, dann sollten wir es vielleicht wirklich versuchen. Wirklich? Ja, wenn die Zeit reif ist. Oh, Auggie. Ihre blauen Augen strahlen. Oh, und wie toll, dass wir ausgerechnet hier darüber reden. Kannst du dir vorstellen, wie schön es wäre, mit ihr hierher zu kommen? Auggie lacht. Warum bist du so sicher, dass sie ein Mädchen wird? Ich weiß es einfach. Frag nicht. Ich weiß es einfach. Ah, sie machen auf. Die Finger ineinander verschränkt gehen sie über den Parkplatz. Beide tragen Eheringe. Bei den ersten Schritten zuckt er noch zusammen, aber nach und nach lässt der Schmerz nach. Ihre Haut ist blass, verglichen mit seiner. Sie hat schmale Finger wie eine Puppe, die Nägel lavendelfarben lackiert. Er ist fast ein Kopf größer als sie. Sie trägt ein Tanktop, enge Jeans, hohe Absätze, alles in lila. Er weite Jeans mit Löchern über den Knien, ein schwarzes Oversize-T-Shirt und Vans ohne Socken. Immer noch Hand in Hand, die Arme schwingend, erfasst sie das elektronische Auge und die Türen gleiten auf. Guten Morgen, begrüßt sie eine Frau hinter dem Umtauschtresen. Auggie senkt den Blick. Guten Morgen, erwidert die Blonde aufgeregt. Auggie und sie laufen durch einen Gang mit Saisonartikeln, in Klammern Wasserpistolen, aufblasbare Tiere, bis zum Hauptteil des gigantischen Spielwarenladens. Sie lassen ihre Hände los und sehen sich um, als suchten sie nach etwas und wollten es beide als Erste finden. Kann ich Ihnen helfen? Fragt ein kleiner junger Mann. Actionfiguren, fragt Auggie. Der Verkäufer zeigt zum hinteren Teil des Ladens. Gang 10. Danke, sagt die Blonde. Sie laufen los, vorbei am World of Nintendo Gang, an Basketballkörben und haufenweise Barbiepuppen. Da sind sie, sagt die Frau. Auggie folgt ihr, vorbei an Ninja Turtles und G.I. Joes. Vor den Reihen von Muskelmännern aus Plastik bleiben sie stehen. Wrestling-Figuren. Da bin ich, sagt Auggie und zieht eine 12 cm große Version von sich aus dem Regal. Auf der Verpackung ist ein Bild von ihm, wirrer Blick, die Augen weit aufgerissen, Klammern, hat er Angst vor irgendwas? Wilde Mähne. Beide Arme sind erhoben, als wollte er die Welt mit einem Bodyslam auf den Boden werfen. Oh, wie toll, sagt die Frau. Findest du nicht auch? Ist doch toll, oder? Er zögert kurz, schüttelt den Kopf. Ich habe dir doch erzählt, dass meine Eltern mir als Kind statt Spielzeug eine Weintraube gegeben haben und meinten, ich solle damit rausgehen und zusehen, wie eine Rosine draus wird. Also ja, er lächelt traurig. Ich muss zugeben, das ist schon ziemlich cool. Ah, sie umarmt ihn. Ich liebe dich. Danke, Babe. Ich dich auch. Er umarmt sie ebenfalls. Die Frau legt die Figuren auf den Tresen. Der junge asiatisch-amerikanische Kassierer sagt, boah, Sie müssen ein echter The Aug-Fan sein. Oh ja, das bin ich. Ich liebe ihn. Der Kassierer sieht zu Auggie und plötzlich macht es Klick. Heilige Scheiße, das gibt's doch nicht. Oh mein Gott, ich bin Ihr größter Fan. Auggie lächelt verlegen. Danke. Die Rede, die Sie gehalten haben, als Sie mit Lord Augustin aufgehört haben, das war das Coolste, was ich je gesehen habe. Danke. Hab hart daran gearbeitet. Ich rufe schon seit einer Woche hier im Laden an, um zu fragen, wann ihr die endlich reinbekommt. Ich hoffe, ich habe nicht genervt. Der Kassierer lacht. Ich glaube, ich habe mit Ihnen gesprochen. Oh, ich hoffe, ich habe nicht... Oh nein, ich meinte zu meinem Kollegen, ich habe mich gerade mit einer total netten Frau über Wrestling-Figuren unterhalten. Alle drei lachen. Na gut, vielleicht soll ich das erklären. Ich bin übrigens Nadine und das ist Auggie und du bist... Sie sieht auf sein Namensschild. Kien. Freut mich. Jedenfalls habe ich angerufen, weil das seine erste Actionfigur ist. War also ein ziemliches Ding für uns. Oh, cool. Und wie gefällt sie euch? Ist auf jeden Fall eine Verbesserung gegenüber der echten Version. Auggie, sieh dir die Muskeln an, diese Arme. So sehe ich nicht mal an meinen besten Tagen aus. Ich liebe deine Arme. Der Kassierer scannt die Figur 4-mal. 21,36, aber irgendwie kommt es mir komisch vor, Ihnen dafür Geld abzunehmen. Nadine und Auggie lachen. Auggie holt ein 20er und einen 5er aus seinem braunen Lederportemonnaie. Mann, ich wünschte, ich hätte meine Kamera dabei, sagt der Kassierer, während er das Wechselgeld rausgibt. Das glaubt mir doch keiner. Ich hol dir eine Autogrammkarte, sagt Nadine. Ich habe welche im Kofferraum. Echt? Ja. Auggie signiert sie dir. Wow, danke. Bin gleich wieder da. Der Kassierer bleibt allein mit Auggie zurück. Er lächelt nervös. Auggie klopft auf den Tresen. Und? Gefällt's dir hier? Fragt er. Hier zu arbeiten, meinen Sie? Ja, sagt Auggie und lacht gekünstelt. Ist okay. Ich finanziere mir meine Ausbildung damit. Betretenes Schweigen. Also, als ich meinte, ob es dir hier gefällt, klang es wahrscheinlich, als hätte ich gefragt, ob es dir hier auf der Erde gefällt. Nein, ich dachte, Sie meinten wahrscheinlich Kalifornien oder... Okay, ist schon klar, dass du wusstest, dass ich nicht die Erde meinte oder so. Das wäre ja auch... Ich hoffe, ich habe dich nicht beleidigt. Oh nein, überhaupt nicht. Ich fand es nur so aufregend, Sie kennenzulernen. Cool, danke. Auggie sieht aus dem Fenster. Nadine fummelt an irgendwas im Auto herum. Er sieht zum Kassierer, der ihn anstarrt. Auggie sieht wieder aus dem Fenster. Dann zum Kassierer, dann aus dem Fenster. Dann nimmt er die Sonnenbrille ab. Seine Augen sind weit aufgerissen. Er beugt sich über den Tresen, lässt den Kopf leicht hängen und sagt mit Hundeblick und tiefer, gequälter Stimme: Sieht so aus, als wäre die Sonne heute zu faul, um ihren Job zu machen. Der Kassierer wirkt fast ehrfürchtig. Aber ich kann sie ja auch nicht wirklich verübeln. Ich würde auch nicht für uns rauskommen wollen. Ein Haufen Ungeziefer mit Geld. Oder Geld mit Ungeziefer. Eigentlich ein Wunder, dass die Sonne sich überhaupt noch zeigt. Nadine kommt rein, sie hat ein Foto dabei. Ich versuche einfach nur, irgendwie durch den Tag zu kommen. Ah, sagt Nadine, er zieht seine Nummer für dich ab. Ja, das ist echt unglaublich. Auggie richtet sich auf und setzt die Sonnenbrille wieder auf. Hier, sie legt ihm ein Hochglanz-Schwarz-Weiß-Foto hin von The Aug. Auggie räuspert sich und spricht wieder normal. Willst du nur ein Autogramm oder mit Namen? Mit Namen. Kien. K-Y-E-N. Nadine gibt Auggie einen Filzstift. Er schreibt, für Kien, der mir 4 von mir verkauft hat. Danke, The Aug. Dankeschön. So that was like an example of this one style of the book. As you see, we didn't promise too much. It's very distinctive, very clear. And my wrestling experience was a bit started like yours. We had like the same start, kind of. You're a bit earlier. I think you're 4 years older, right? 3 or 4 years, something like this. I grew up also with wrestling cards, the wrestlers I mentioned, Undertaker, Lex Luger, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hitman Hart, who was so popular among my friends and me. I don't know why. Looking back, I have no clue.
In general, I've learned Germans love Bret Hart.
Yeah.
No joke. I don't know. He just connected with the Germans in a way he never did Americans.
Not at all. And we
Like
were
me.
collecting these cards, and I will never forget the feeling. We all, like my friends and me, had like 7 cards, and then I could exchange with someone like 3 Hulk Hogan's and got an 8th new card of Bret Hitman Hart, and it was probably my best experience in my life. No, but it was like it was really like I remember how happy I was. And then I remember also the mid-90s. There were some big changes, right? A new federation came in. Hulk Hogan turned evil. Like a foreshadowing of his life also a bit. And but you stayed a bit with it. How was there a time where you were literally like the only wrestling fan around your friends, and now you have backup with your son? Was this like a tough run?
I mentioned this earlier today. The Doink the Clown period was rough. One person got that joke. No, there was this weird transition after Hulk left the WWF for the first time. They needed a star. Was it going to be Bret Hart? Was it going to be Shawn Michaels? And they had a lot of, shall we say, childish, cartoonish gimmicks like an evil clown, but I stuck with it and I was rewarded. See, I like to say I am in this age group where I grew up with wrestling. In other words, wrestling grew up with me, which is to say, when I was a teenager, the product for both WWF and WCW shifted. It became far more adult. You all might have heard the WWF Attitude Era, and that's where we started seeing, instead of the patriotic Hulk Hogan, we saw characters like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who blatantly displayed his alcoholism to the delight of thousands, gave everyone the finger. Oh gosh, am I going to be the first person to bring him up? It kind of reminds me of somebody else, the rise of Stone Cold. The ruder, cruder, and more evil and terrible that he treated the working class, the more he was elevated.
Yeah, fair. Let's directly jump into that, because looking back, I wondered why was I such a fan of wrestling, because it wasn't that popular in Germany. I remember there was Alex Wright, that was a wrestler we had, but then my childhood or my streak with wrestling was over. And I wondered why was it such a big thing? And the answer is very clear, because America had such a strong pop cultural influence. And people in my age, when I was a teenager or whatever, or a child, it was everywhere. It was inevitable. All the TV shows, all the cartoons, everything you saw, the music came from America, was inspired by America. And I remember growing up, and that really sounds like like from a former century, which it was, how cool America was. And in 2 words, Joey, what happened?
Okay, so I got a couple of answers for this. So one actually ties to what you're just talking about. Another one of our famous exports is The Simpsons, and a recurring thread in all of my work is I've been trying to warn people about how dangerous it is for the mind of America to continue dumbing down, all right? And I have evidence that it's been dumbed down, because it appears that over half of my country, when they were growing up watching The Simpsons, they somehow thought that Mr. Burns was the hero. Do you see what I mean? Mr. Burns is a symbol of crass, greedy, runaway American capitalism. All right? But I would argue there are certain episodes of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns shows signs of having a heart. Cut to our reality. Our president is Mr. Burns, and yet the working class, just like Stone Cold, they can't get enough of him. In fact, I would argue this very real man in the White House is more of a caricature than Mr. Burns.
Yeah,
he's grotesque.
Yeah.
The other thing, let's get the Trump stuff out of the way.
Didn't he even appear in wrestling?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The connection between Donald Trump and wrestling is very well documented. He's close friends with Vince McMahon. Oh my God! Talk about y'all. You're upsetting me. This sounds like an episode of The Simpsons. It sounds like satire. There's no reason for satire anymore. I call it, what we're experiencing right now, I call it post-satire. Did you know that Donald Trump, he who cannot be named, hired Vince McMahon's wife, Linda, as the Secretary of Education? Okay? So, what a strange world we live in. But I think I know how it happened. You said what happened. I think I know how it happened. Okay? And so all humans, let me start that again. Trump found a way to tap directly into our reptile minds, the American reptile mind. Now, what do I mean by that? I can demonstrate. Ben, let me ask you something. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Yeah, very simple. Fuck.
Classic.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, for whatever reason, it's shit. I tell you what, y'all. Everybody think of your favorite curse word, either in English or auf Deutsch. All right, have it. I'll wait. You got it? Okay. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and after 3, sorry. Entschuldigen Sie.
Oh, Joey, you're in trouble. It's already on Instagram.
Okay. On the count of 3, after 3, let's all yell our favorite cuss word. And I don't want to have an advantage over you, so I won't use amplification. 1, 2, 3.
They were going for the German one. Scheiße.
So okay, but check this out. When you just said that, all right, admit it. Somewhere, didn't you feel something? Didn't that feel good? To break decorum. My point is, this man appeals to the worst of us. And when we feel that feeling, when we say that cuss word, that's our reptile mind. That is our cold-bloodedness, our wrath, all right? Our anger, our frustration, all right? And he found a way to embody that, to become the grotesque face of the reptile mind. And the worst elements of my country fell for it. Wrestling, some people call wrestling a con. This is the ultimate con. How did a Manhattan billionaire become the champion of the working class? It's because of their poor reptile minds.
And of the religious hardliners, which is even more surprising. I don't see that connection a lot. It's so strange. He's literally what they hate.
Yeah.
And they are more aware than sometimes the working class. They really have like their worldview, and he's the enemy of that worldview.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably, yeah, it's not to answer. But what I would like to hear from you is we have an author / actor in Germany called Joachim Meyerhoff, and he wrote books about his life, very, very great novels, I think. And he wrote, his first one is about his year in Wyoming when he was like there as an exchange student, aged, I think 16 or something. And he gave an interview and he said, even with all that he liked his parents there, you know, and whatever, but he has to say he must draw like a direct line from growing up 87 in Wyoming to what happens now. He says nothing is a surprise for me. It's literally like you could feel it coming. Is this accurate in your point of view, or for you it's still a surprise what happens in some bad luck situations here and there voting-wise?
Look, when it happened the first time, let alone the second time, it still stunned me. But in retrospect, yes, and you know, we talked. It's in my books. I really blame it on the dumbing down of culture, because I really think the first time he won, what it came down to is the majority of the population saying, "Hey, that's that guy from TV."
And I mean, there was recently an interview with the makers of The Apprentice, like his TV show that showed him as the successful businessman. And the makers of that show said they were signing like a silent treaty, so they were not allowed to speak about it until, like, I would say 2 months before the last vote. And the makers said, you know, it's all a fraud, it's all fake. We told him which candidates succeeded later. And then after that, when he, with that benefit of the hindsight, with all that knowledge, he made an interview talking about who might win. So he always looked like this fantastic, you know, understanding businessman, but he had clearly no idea. And he said his office was such a rundown, horrible place. So they were entering a whole floor of a building and decorated it as his real office, because his actual office was like was smelly, was little, nothing was going on. He had clearly no idea. He failed every business he was ever running, and we made him, and they talked about his racism going on there and whatever. That was cut, obviously, from the show, but they said, oh my God, who would have known we made him? But sometimes we have the sensation in Europe that you never draw a line between entertainment and politics too much, you know. You already had an actor, Ronald Reagan, becoming president, so then you have this guy, he's from TV, and he's probably a businessman, and it's like, what a head start for these candidates, coming from entertainment business directly. Sometimes we were like, oh, too sad that Schwarzenegger was not able to become his opponent. That's what we have to think. We have to look in the TV or in the show business for his enemies to maybe find hope.
Yeah, and isn't it funny, by comparison, Ronald Reagan just seems cute now. Yeah. What a sweetheart. But you, by comparison, that you mentioned The Apprentice. Remember what his catchphrase was on that show? You're fired. Think about that, all right? The champion of the working class of America, his catchphrase was, "You're fired. Thanks for your labor, but I'm robbing you of your livelihood." Can we switch subjects?
Fair. But I want to mention just one thing, because also Joe is a teacher, so you're really surrounded by a lot of that, and by the parents, you know, and so on. And Joey is like holding the flag in Henderson, Kentucky. And for me, it was, I remember like 10 years ago-ish, yeah, it's really around 10 years, we all were talking about J.D. Vance as the voice of Midwest, you know, explaining us Trump, calling Trump Hitler, and so on. And Hillbilly Elegy was the book in German. And I read the pre-word back then. I remember the pre-word was very good. It made me even buying the book. Then I was a bit disappointed by it, and because for me you were like this voice, and you didn't become vice president under Trump. Thanks for that. So much for this integrity and uprightness. And I always thought that the German journalists were making a big mistake not talking to you, because you clearly are the liberal voice in Kentucky, surrounded, not explaining from the coast what the people might think there. You're surrounded by them. And you wrote prophetically about it in a book. We have this weird similarity that we both wrote a book called Heartland, but yours is Heartland. And you back then, 2009, it was published, already had like so much. It was political novel. It was talking about the working class rising, finding these weird heroes and so on. And it's just want to recommend. You were really early there, and it must have been tough for you to see a lot of that happening. But you don't have to answer if you don't want to. If you want to leave this up.
It's not easy being a modern day prophet. But no, he's always said, you've always been very generous in your appraisal of me, that I could be the voice for liberal America. But I do thank you for that, but I think of myself more as a storyteller or a song and dance man.
Once again, you're so arrogant, Joey. It's crazy. We come to the second reading part. This time, it's a bit like the opposite of what we had. It's looking back. And because interesting is for these wrestlers, what I didn't know is we know sometimes the characters with which they became famous, right? But they sometimes had other characters before that we never heard of, that didn't work. Okay, let's find a new one year later. So also Auggie Schnuck had once a character called the Mainstream Dream, and so on. That worked fairly, but then he had to do something else, and this is what we hear now. Februar 1987 bis März 1988. 2 Tage bevor Auggie Schnuck zum ersten Mal im Fernsehen auftrat, hatten Nadine und er gerade im Standesamt von San Rafael geheiratet. Nadine hatte von einer kirchlichen Trauung geträumt, aber vor allem wollten sie verheiratet sein, bevor Auggie nur noch unterwegs sein würde. Auggie hatte versucht, die Tour hinauszuzögern, um wenigstens eine kleine Feier mit der Familie organisieren zu können, aber der Road Agent von der GWL meinte, jetzt oder nie. Er habe erlebt, wie launisch Stan sein konnte, dieser Macher dieser Veranstaltung. Und wenn Stan ihn jetzt losschicken wollte, dann sollte er sich besser daran halten, sonst riskierte er womöglich seinen neuen Job. Und so bestritt er 2 Tage nach der Hochzeit in Indianapolis sein erstes Match, das dann 3 Tage später bei Saturday Morning Slam Time ausgestrahlt wurde. Er flog zurück zu Nadine und sah sich mit ihr in ihrer neuen Wohnung an. Kurz vor der Sendung kam sie im schwarzen Seidenmantel ins Wohnzimmer und überraschte Auggie mit einer Flasche kalifornischem Champagner. In Klammern, das Kalifornisch betonte sie immer gern. Nichts erregte ihn mehr, als sie morgens mit ihrer ungebändigten blonden Mähne und der Hand auf der Hüfte in ihrem Seidenmantel zu sehen. Doch es war keine rein sinnliche Reaktion. Nadine in ihrem Bademantel zu sehen, gab ihm außerdem das Gefühl, endlich ein Zuhause gefunden zu haben. Das und das beruhigende Klicken des Thermostats. Er selbst wirkte in seiner Sporthose und dem Oversize-T-Shirt der University of Louisville nicht ganz so verführerisch. Nach etwa der Hälfte der Saturday Morning Slam Time gab Lord Augustine sein Debüt. Als er auf dem Bildschirm erschien, kreischte Nadine vor Freude, legte den Arm um ihn und küsste ihn auf die Wange. Auggie grinste wie ein Kind. Das musste er Stan lassen. Noch bevor Lord Augustine auch nur den Mund aufmachte, hasste das Publikum in Des Moines ihn und sein Foreign Object, den Yorick-Schädel. Die negative Reaktion war fast greifbar. Sofort hagelte es Buhrufe und Pfiffe. Als Stan ihm die Idee unterbreitet hatte, war Auggie alles andere als begeistert gewesen. Ich wollte schon immer eine Shakespeare-Figur als Gimmick. Ich will, dass du da rauskommst und diesen ganzen The und Those Scheiß raushaust. Diesen ganzen Shakespeare-Quatsch, den kein Mensch versteht. Das macht dich sofort zum Heel, Bösewicht, weil alle diesen Scheiß in der Schule lesen müssen und es hassen. Und genau das repräsentierst du. Du repräsentierst die Schule und die Hausaufgaben und den ganzen Mist, den die Leute machen müssen und nicht machen wollen. Du bist praktisch die Hausaufgaben, Auggie. Und dafür werden sie dich verdammt nochmal hassen. Und dann wirst du ein Star. Auggie hätte am liebsten gesagt, tat es aber nicht, dass er Shakespeare in der Highschool eigentlich ganz gern gemocht hatte. In seinem ersten Jahr, als die anderen Schüler sich fragten, wie Romeo und Julia sich innerhalb von nur 4 Tagen kennenlernen, sich unsterblich verlieben und dann gemeinsam sterben konnten, war er zu schüchtern gewesen, um zu sagen, was er dachte. Dass Liebe nämlich genauso funktionierte, wenn man es ernst meinte. Was sich Jahre später, als er Nadine kennenlernte, bestätigte. In seinem Abschlussjahr, als die anderen schimpften, Prinz Hamlet sei bescheuert und nervig, war er zu schüchtern gewesen, um zu sagen, seht ihr denn nicht, dass er genau wie wir ist? Seht ihr nicht, dass er nicht weiß, wo ihm der Kopf steht? Dass er innerlich völlig zerrissen ist? Seht ihr nicht, wie er die ganze Zeit aufpasst und dann, bumm, alles vermasselt, genau wie wir? Seht ihr nicht, dass wir Hamlet sind, jeder einzelne von uns? Letztendlich hatte er sich nie getraut, diese Dinge auszusprechen, und während die Großmäuler und Grobiane weiter murrten, verpufften seine jugendlichen Gedanken irgendwann. Aber Stan ging es nicht darum, die Komplexität der menschlichen Natur darzustellen. Seine Idee für die Shakespeare-Figur war cartoonhaft und breit angelegt, was Auggie nicht gefiel. Stan überredete ihn, indem er ihm erklärte, das Konzept unterscheide sich gar nicht sonderlich von Auggies früherer Figur bei seinen beiden ersten unabhängigen Promotions, diese ganze, Zitat, satirische Moralistennummer, wie Stan es nannte. Als Auggie sich im Fernsehen sah, musste er zugeben, dass Stans Konzept aufging. Er war tatsächlich beeindruckt, denn es stimmte. Die Kamera mochte ihn. Lord Augustins Gegner war ein schlampiger Jobber in einem zerrissenen Daryl Strawberry-Trikot. Nach weniger als 5 Minuten tat der Mann, als würde er ohnmächtig, während Augustin den Haggermagger machte. Danach bat Lord Augustin um ein Mikrofon und verkündete mit britischem Akzent, heute und dann wieder heute. Von der blanken Dolchspitze meiner Zunge zu den Veranden eurer Ohren beschwöre ich euch, von euren stumpfsinnigen Sitten abzulassen. Ihr Amerikaner esst, als würdet ihr verhungern. Dabei bezeugen eure Butterbäuche das Gegenteil. Ihr Bewohner von Indiana seid liederlich und nur dann zur Tat zu bewegen, wenn euer Unterleib euch lockt. Möge die Hölle eure Lenden warm halten, denn sicherlich werdet ihr dort verbrennen. All seine Reden schlugen in dieselbe Kerbe. Er war etwas Besseres als sie. Jedes Mal beleidigte er Hunderttausende von Menschen, die ihm notgedrungen zuhören mussten, weil er ein Mikrofon hatte und sie nicht. Sein künstlicher britischer Akzent dröhnte über ihre Baseballcaps und Dauerwellen hinweg. Das Einzige, was sie wirklich gut könnten, sei, ihre Liebsten zu enttäuschen. Und wenn sie nicht genug Geld hätten, dann, weil sie nichts wert seien. Das Publikum reagierte entsprechend, sie schleuderten ihm wüste Beschimpfungen entgegen und ließen ihre weltliche Wut an ihm aus. Und beide Seiten hatten ihren Spaß daran. Das war die zweite Stelle. Now is time to talk about the secret word we heard before, kayfabe.
Kayfabe.
I stumbled over it for the first time in your novel, but I remembered that I heard about it first, a similar gesture, in the film The Prestige by Christopher Nolan. Do you want to explain what kayfabe is?
I can attempt to. I mean, the truth is you could ask 10 different people what kayfabe means, and you'll get a slight variation on that, but essentially kayfabe means maintaining the illusion that everything that you see in a wrestling show is in fact real. And even outside of the venue, it could be in airports, it could be in bars. In my research, I learned it's from carnival speak. It's kind of pig Latin and I don't like using the F word for wrestling. I'm FAKE. I like staged. I like scripted. I like choreographed. But it's kind of like pig Latin. It comes out kayfabe. And so the idea is, you know, let's say you have a couple of guys at a bar. They're supposed to be sworn enemies. They're having a beer together, and here comes some fans. And so one would say to the other, kayfabe, kayfabe. Yeah. And then it's, you asshole.
Do you think that, I mean, it's a bit maybe far stretch, but do you think like every one of us has like a kayfabe? Do you have like a little author kayfabe?
Oh, it's a very human thing. Yeah, I mean, that would be an extreme theatrical version. Great question.
Sorry, I don't want to push you.
No, I love that. But we're doing it right now, right? I mean, every time we leave the house, we put our costumes on, we put our masks on, right? It can't just be me.
So Oh, sorry. It's maybe it's really no. I think we all have question to the audience. Who thinks that at one point in your life, later or sooner, you invented yourself as a character? Hands up. Who thinks that? That is very interesting because that's kind of like 40%. So it means such a different perception of the world. Some say, I script myself a bit. I want to be this or that, and others let it happen. But in wrestling, it's really, is it still a big thing, the kayfabe, or is it like rather not so important nowadays with documentaries and so on?
Right. It's used to, it was this code that they lived by, and if you broke in the old days, if you broke that code, you would get your legs broken legitimately. They took it that seriously. Oh. But then Vince McMahon came along in the 80s, and he's the one that coined the phrase sports entertainment. The key word there, entertainment. You know, we're winking at the audience, and now we're to the point. I heard Triple H mentioned earlier, he's putting a show on Netflix that lets us see inside of the writer's room. So it's still there, but not as strictly adhered to as it once was. What about you, Ben? Same question to you. Have you ever knowingly participated in kayfabe in your life?
Yes, I think so. In the sense of, you know, you look for role models when you're a teenager, or I mean, I had so many failed attempts with role models. They all betrayed me over the years. Actually, the only one who never betrayed me was Peter Parker. That was the best role model I ever had as a boy or young man. Sorry, I'm Frank. I think it depends. I thought about why only the half of you was raising hands or not. I think, for example, I don't think I am mostly my first reactions. I would put in my eggs in the basket of how I deal with my first instincts. For example, I was so afraid of so many things. I was afraid of today. I'm afraid of traveling to this country. I'm afraid of going to that country or do this. I'm afraid to go to that party where I don't know anyone. But I'm not so much this. I'm more my decisions, what I make out of that. When do I regret? When do I like something? When do this? And I think I'm more the perception of that. And that comes into who do I want to be or how do I want to live my life. So there's a lot of awareness in that. But I always admire the people who were just living. That was not on the table for me.
You mentioned role models. I also had trouble picking role models growing up. First, I chose Bill Cosby. And then as a teenager, it was Sean P. Diddy Combs.
That was a. I mean, it just shows how toxic these times were. Peter Parker, he made it so far. We come now to the third reading part.
I read this, right?
Is this? Wait. Yes. This is now for the first time Joey reading in English, and I'm gonna take over at some point.
Okay. And so, just very brief setup. You've seen him as the Lord Augustine character. This is going to be a moment in the industry. It would be called a worked shoot. We don't have to get into that, but you're going to see the moment where he loses that Augustine character. Did I ruin it? No. Okay. I should have. Thinking about Bill Cosby. September. You put the pills in the pudding. September 1988 to May 1989. The audience in the Diamond City Arena in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and the viewers at home witnessed the following on the September 5th, 1988 episode of Monday Night Mayhem. Two announcers, one being Stan McGowan in his powder blue blazer and tie, the other, Memphis Hurt, in his signature black cowboy hat, explained that after a 6-month absence, Lord Augustine was making his return to the Global Wrestling League. As his dainty harpsichord music played, Lord Augustine entered the arena, haughty and prim in his frilly white shirt, with shoulder rolls, baggy short pants, with white tights and silver buckles on his black boots. A nondescript jobber awaited him in the ring. Lord Augustine paused at the top of the entry ramp, microphone in one hand, his trademark skull in the other. He curtsied to the audience as they booed. Boo. In his British accent, he said, in his British accent,
Uns hat das niemand gesagt. Es ist voll cool, dass du hier bist, aber es wäre ganz nice gewesen, wenn wir das gewusst hätten. Kannst du gehen? Du weißt es ja nicht. Dann kommt jemand für dich.
Did he not like my book? Okay. He curtsied to the audience as they booed. In his British accent, in a supercilious tone, he said, "How now? How now? Methinks my absence hath only made me grander in the eyes of mine vulgar legions. For thine own selves, me strumpus in caucus and cap, methinks thy wrath." He stopped in mid-sentence and looked down like he had lost his focus. "Methinks thy wrath hath only encumbered thee of..." He stopped again, cleared his throat. At this point, the audience's boos lessened. What was the matter with the normally breathless Lord Augustine? "Methinks..." He looked all around the arena. His haughtiness was replaced by confusion. Or was it sadness? "Methinks The audience started to show concern. The camera got a shot of a concerned father, his mouth slightly ajar, while his little boy looked puzzled. "I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is, methinks..." His British accent suddenly disappeared. "Methinks I'm sick of this." And with that, he spiked his prop skull to the ground. The skull shattered in half. Before the two halves had even stopped bouncing and spinning, the audience had already erupted in approval. He ripped off his frilly shirt, yanked at his well-kempt long hair, and rubbed his palm down his face as though to wipe off the residue of the character. Then he did something even stranger. Instead of proceeding down the ramp, he sat on the ground and crossed his legs like a child, ready for story time at school. And then he smiled. That felt good. The crowd exploded with cheers. For once in my life, I'm going to do what I want to do instead of what I don't want to do. Isn't that funny? How we spend nearly every minute we have in this life doing the things we don't want to do. How does that make any sense? He paused and closed his eyes. Viewers at home saw another reaction shot, this time of a 50-something bearded man, enthralled. I do not want to be Lord Augustine anymore. I never wanted to be Lord Augustine. I want to be myself. I want to talk as me. For Christ's sake, I just want to talk. Everybody else is always talking. It feels like I never get to say a damn thing. A young husband and wife smiled and nodded. And I know you people didn't pay your hard-earned money to listen to a guy talk. I'll wrap this up in a minute, and I'll go down there and fight that poor bastard. The jobber mouths profanity from the ring. I'm sorry, Kevin. That's your real name, right? Is it Kevin? Kevin Robinson? At least they let you be yourself and not some cartoon character. Just let me talk for 1 minute, and I'll come down there and I'll beat you. Just let me talk for 1 minute. Just 1 minute as me, Auggie Schnuck. He paused again, looked down, then slowly raised his head and did another unusual thing. He looked directly at the camera. A cameraman was positioned about 5 feet to his right, and Auggie turned and said to the camera, "The truth is, I'm not doing so well. I don't know what to do with myself. I know there are hundreds of guys out there who would kill to do what I do for a living. I know all of you out there think because I'm on this side of the television screen, I must have it made, right? But I'm not happy. I miss my wife. I married her 2 days before I debuted as Lord Augustine. If I'm lucky, I get to see her 2 days every other week. I only get to see the one person I want to see 15% of the time. And it never ends. I know some people don't even consider this a sport. Well, maybe they're right because any other sport has an off season. Any other athlete gets a few months off in order to actually live and let their bodies heal. They don't give us time off here. Their only concern is to squeeze every ounce of labor out of our bones. And then once that's done, once our bodies become useless, they'll toss us off to the side. I know because it happened to me. You want to know why I wasn't on TV the last 6 months? It's because I got injured doing a stupid stunt that I told them I was not comfortable with, doing the stupid Shakespeare character that I never wanted to do in the first place. You want to know whose idea Lord Augustine actually was? You want to know who's having me talk to you all like you're a bunch of animals? Let me tell you about the man I work for. You know...
In dem Moment wird sein Mikrofon ausgeschaltet. Er redet noch etwas weiter, bis er es merkt. Als er es merkt, wirft er das Mikrofon weg, springt auf und läuft die Rampe hinunter. Doch statt in den Ring marschierte er direkt auf die Kommentatoren zu. Mein Gott, sagt Memphis Hurd, er kommt direkt auf uns zu. Was ist hier los? Rief Stan McGowan theatralisch. Auggie forderte Stan auf, ihm sein Headset zu geben. Sein Blick wanderte erneut zur Kamera. Stan sah ihn entsetzt an. In der Arena können Sie mich nicht hören, aber ich weiß, dass ihr mich zu Hause hören könnt. Und hinten könnt ihr mich auch hören. Also stellt ihr mein Mikro wahrscheinlich auch wieder aus. Aber das ist mir egal. Wenn ihr mich feuern wollt, nur zu. Denkt ihr, ich könnte mein Leben noch schlimmer machen? Versucht's ruhig. Hör auf damit, rief Stan. Auggie starrte ihn eine Weile an und wandte sich dann wieder der Kamera zu. Er hatte die Augen jetzt weit aufgerissen. Sein Blick war tief traurig und wild, missmutig, fast ängstlich. Ich habe es satt. Ich habe es sowas von satt. Seine Stimme klang plötzlich tiefer. Und das ging jetzt alle zu spüren. Überall. Ich bin die Seuche. Ich bin der wandelnde Schmerz. Ich bin The Aug. Seine Worte verschwammen immer mehr. Vor euch steht ein Mann, der nicht mehr mitmacht. Ich will nicht mehr meinen eigenen Kopf leben. Mein Schmerz wird ihr Schmerz. Ich werde... Hey! Rief der Jobber aus dem Ring. Wie wär's, wenn du endlich die Klappe hältst und kämpfst? Auggie drehte sich langsam um und sah den Mann an, als bemerkte er ihn zum ersten Mal. Tommy? Fragte er feierlich. Er rieb sich die Schläfe, als wollte er sich etwas aus dem Hirn kneten. Wer ist Tommy? Fragte Hurt. Das ist dein Gegner, Kevin Robinson. Was machst du hier, Tommy? Auggies Gesicht war angstverzerrt. Er riss den Kopf herum. War das ein Tick? Als wollte er sich einen unangenehmen Gedanken aus dem Ohr schütteln. Hier ist kein Tommy, ganz sicher, erklärte Hurt in seinem gedehnten Südstaaten-Akzent. Auggie nahm das Headset ab und stürzte in den Ring. Leute, ich weiß nicht, was hier vor sich geht, sagte Hurt, aber das ist so ziemlich das Verrückteste, was ich je gesehen habe. Statt zu wresteln, ging er direkt auf seinen Gegner los. Wie ein Tornado prasselten seine Schläge und Tritte auf ihn ein, während er schrie, ich will nicht gegen dich kämpfen. Er hat den Verstand verloren, rief Stan McGowan. Ladies and Gentlemen, wir sehen hier einen Mann, der vor unser allen Augen den Verstand verliert. Als der Ringrichter erkannte, dass ein normaler Kampf nicht möglich sein würde, winkte er nach der Security. Mehrmals wurde der Gong geschlagen, als könnte man dem Chaos damit ein Ende setzen. Security-Leute rannten zum Ring und zogen Auggie von seinen Kontrahenten weg. Als er sah, wie der sich in Embryo-Haltung in der Ecke zusammenrollte, brüllte er ins Publikum, sag mir, was ich tun soll! Er raufte sich die Haare, sah nach oben und brüllte, sag mir endlich mal jemand, was ich tun soll! Das war das Letzte, was die Zuschauer zu Hause zu sehen bekamen, bevor eine Doritos-Werbung eingeblendet wurde. Was die Zuschauer nicht sahen: Stan McGowan, der CEO der GWL, hatte Auggie im Vorfeld erlaubt, einen sogenannten Worked Shoot zu machen. Auggie war davon ausgegangen, dass er sich das Konzept ausgedacht hatte. Er wusste nicht, dass es in ihrem Business einen Fachbegriff für das gab, was er vorhatte. Stan erklärte ihm, ein Worked Shoot in so prominentem Rahmen sei ungewöhnlich, aber da er sich verantwortlich für Auggies Unfall fühlte, willigte er ein. Jedes Wort war geplant, selbst der Nonsens gegen Ende, für den The Aug später berühmt wurde. Auggie durfte das Skript selbst schreiben, aber Stan ließ es ihn 3-mal überarbeiten. Normalerweise war das, was die Wrestler von sich gaben, weitgehend improvisiert, aber Stan hatte Auggie diesen speziellen Auftritt nur unter der Bedingung erlaubt, dass er das Skript vorher absegnete. Nach Auggies ursprünglichen Plan sollte die Zersetzung seiner Figur sich über mehrere Monate hinziehen. Er wollte den Schädel zertrümmern, seinem Ärger Luft machen und sich dann weigern, gegen Robinson anzutreten. Damit sollte der erste Auftritt ursprünglich enden. In den Wochen darauf würde er immer wieder Anzeichen von geistiger Verwirrung zeigen, ein seltsames Zucken hier, ein paar unzusammenhängende Worte dort, ganz subtil, bis er irgendwann bei seinem Gegner so ausrastete wie bei Robinson. Stan meinte, die subtile Nummer würde im Wrestling nicht funktionieren. Alles müsse groß und übertrieben sein. Man müsse immer an den Fan in der letzten Reihe in der hintersten Ecke der Arena denken. Er würde Auggie zwar erlauben, die Lord Augustin-Nummer aufzugeben, von ihm aus auch so, dass Fiktion und Realität miteinander verschwammen, aber dafür würde Auggie ein paar Kompromisse eingehen müssen. Mit langfristiger Charakterentwicklung sei kein Geld zu verdienen, erklärte Stan. Und so musste Auggie die geplante 3-monatige Charakterentwicklung auf 3 Minuten komprimieren. Und es funktionierte. Stan hatte recht gehabt. Auggie war aufgefallen, dass Stan in etwa 50% der Fälle recht hatte. Und wenn er recht hatte, dann hatte er unbedingt recht. Aber wenn nicht, dann hatte das verhängnisvolle Folgen. Amazing line. Stan meinte, es sei unterhaltsamer, wenn seine Figur von einem Moment auf den anderen den Verstand verlor. Auggie war einverstanden, weil es hinsichtlich der Performance tatsächlich vielversprechend klang. Die Zeitspanne vom Betreten der Arena bis zur Werbepause betrug 10 Minuten. Und in diesen 10 Minuten hatte Auggie das Gefühl, dem Publikum die ganze Bandbreite menschlicher Gefühle zu präsentieren. Als Auggie hinter die Bühne zurückkehrte, kriegte er zum ersten Mal Komplimente und Schulterklopfern von den anderen Wrestlern, zum Teil gestandene Veteranen. Aber viel wichtiger, Stan war begeistert. Er kam auf Auggie zu, schüttelte ihm die Hand und sagte, super gemacht, Auggie! Zum ersten Mal in seiner Wrestling-Karriere war Auggie stolz auf sich. We are coming to the last part of this, but, oh, it's hidden somewhere. Here it is. I feel like in high school whenever I do stuff like this, like, oh, am I prepared? We don't know. So, what I wanted to ask, we have some similarities that go beyond the fact that we both wrote a Heartland book, which is in my case actually a reaction to yours. I think I told that a few times. I came to Diogenes. I was already a big fan of his first novel, Vincent, Torture the Artist.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's sweet of you.
Yeah, this is such an amazing book. It truly is. And so I came to Diogenes and I would ask, is there a new Joey Goebel novel coming? He also had published Freaks at that time. And I was like eager for new stuff. And then they said, yes, Heartland. And I was like, in a screen, I saw like a rye field. I saw a teenager running, desperate, growing up in America, tough life, coming of age. All was on my inner screen. And then, oh no, now Joey has written that book. And I was like super weird mix between a bit jealous, you know, because I want to write that story. And then, yeah, but you did it, and I was looking forward to it. And I was actually very disappointed when I realized, oh, it's not coming of age. It's a political novel, a family novel, and whatever. Obviously, it's I really like it. But it was like, oh, what happened to this Ryefield teenager coming of age Heartland? And I pictured it Hardland, even like capital letters, you know. And then Heartland. Okay, it's a different story. So that was literally like the first semen of later the decision writing my Heartland. But it is obviously like a reaction to yours. But our similarity is that we both were coming to our publishing house very young. Yes. How old were you?
About 23 or 24.
Yeah, that's like me. How is it looking back? If young Joey would sit here, how do you picture him? Would you tell him something? Would you give him advice? Or would you think, no, you do you?
Look, well, you're the perfect person to talk to about this. The life of a writer isn't an easy one. Oh, it reminds me of what I just read. Auggie said something like, you people on the other side of that screen, you probably think I have it made, don't you? And I know some of you in the audience look at Joey from Kentucky going on the European book tour. It's cool.
Come on, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I've learned people don't like to hear a guy complain about a free trip to Europe. But this is the fun part. This is the reward. The truth is, the life of a writer is not an easy one. Especially, and this is one way we differ, especially when you have a young family. Perhaps my first marriage would have survived had it not been for my obsession with writing. Maybe that's something I have in common with Auggie. But anyhow, I would say to my younger self, Joey, if you want to keep writing, you need to know that you are going to experience occasional joy, but frequent pain, but keep doing it.
Yeah, fair. That's a question we always get when we let the people ask themselves. I stumbled over that over all these tours. They're very interested in writing, which is always, because among my friends, there's no topic more boring than talking about writing. So I learned from an early age, I shall never ever talk about writing. People are super bored and whatever. But then on the reading, that's the one place where we can actually talk about writing.
Didn't you write a book about writing?
For the people who ask me on the reading.
Oh, so that's not.
It's a close circle.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Okay, it's going to be it's going to be really obvious. But I'm serious. Can I ask you a question about your writing? Okay, what time of day do you write?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But here comes the nerd answer. You have to say, what is writing? Typing? Is it thinking about characters? Is it emotional thought work? Is it actual reworking? There's a lot of it.
I think you're being a little difficult.
And I only, yeah.
I
That's why I needed a whole book to answer that question.
No,
Probably didn't answer it.
all the above.
Okay,
like,
look at
is there a particular time of day where your muses are more likely to cooperate you, whether it's brainstorming, actually typing?
I give like a photo. The negative answer of this is it's just never morning.
Interesting.
It's never the morning, except I tend to write, the thing is this, I have ADHD and the first half of the day is like literally me distracting from everything and I need to know who won Wimbledon so desperately in 1983 and then I want to do something else and whatever. And I wait for, where is it? The impulse. And then, I can work on the text. Mostly because I did everything else before. And then I'm so bored, even by doing nothing, that it's almost tempting to go back to the text. And then that can be 6:45 or 7:50 or whatever I start. And once I have the impulse, I write that wave. And sometimes I end up at 8 in the morning, which is a twisted feeling. I rarely get to see the morning, so I appreciate, but you feel like, weirdly, even though you work the whole night, you feel like lazy. The hardworking people wake up, they do it right, and you weirdly are lazy even after 12-hour shift. Yeah, something is wrong with you, and then I go back to sleep. How's you?
This is fascinating. It's the opposite for
really?
me.
You're morning?
Yeah, morning. A guy right in the morning. First of all, there's practical reasons. I got my coffee. I'm fully caffeinated. I have a rule: don't drink coffee past 2 p.m. I'm breaking my rule in this tour though, because I can't sleep. But no, I have my coffee. That's like my fuel. And I always say I like to write in the morning before the day has its opportunity to turn on me. Because then, 1 o'clock, 2 p.m., the calls start coming in, the emails. I start hearing all the things that I've done wrong.
But the thing is, like, I spend my day with that, and then I always imagine like an empty interstate or highway, and no news are coming in and whatever, and I'm bored by this circling thoughts, and then some music, and then I have my Pepsi. It's my coffee, my Pepsi Max, and then off we go. But I think it's the same sensation. It's hard to find a place of the day in which is no distraction by the world.
Right.
And it's
You don't drink coffee?
I do, but the thing is, like, normal sleeping is off the table anyway a bit,
Okay.
so I was never too affected by caffeine. But how do you write a book like this? In the sense of, do you first plan it? Yeah. Is there like a long plan in your head or on a paper, and then you start the actual writing? Or do you start immediately with that, improvising?
I was going to ask you the same question. I always plan ahead, meticulously.
Do you know the ending before? Absolutely crystal.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if I surprise myself as I go along, I am open to changing it. But to answer your question, the pre-writing, the brainstorming, idea generating, and outlining, that's a months-long process. So by the time I sit down to actually write the thing, and by the way, I always write in a spiral notebook first, often in bed, and then transcribe onto the computer. But I never just sit down and let's just see what happens. That frightens me. What about you?
Well, what you described frightens me. Writing by hand and everything, I'm too impatient. I come over the route trial and error. Obviously, I also think a lot about the book ahead. My next book, for example, I thought years ahead about potential characters. I had so many ideas collected. And then I worked on it, the first draft, and I realized it's not working. It's lifeless. It's not working. And then I had one character that only had to have like a little scene, and this character was glowing. It was insane. It was vibrating. And then I thought, no, but I didn't want to write about you. I want to write this and whatever. I tried to save my initial idea. I failed. I felt horrible for a few months. And then I had to decide, with all that pre-work for years, I had to decide, okay, skip the initial idea. You get the book now. You character glowing every time you are in. And that character saved my book.
What was this book? Am I not supposed to ask that?
Okay.
Never mind. Let's
No, it's
talk
good.
about the elevator boys.
Yeah, that was our topic yesterday. Well, you're gonna find out. I'm gonna drop that at some point. But the character, yeah, is probably my favorite character. It's literally crazy. The character turned everything around for me. The Elevator Boys.
Okay, yeah, let's...
No, we talked yesterday about we had a dinner, and I stumbled over that phenomenon. I don't know who. Once again, who knows the Elevator Boys? Kind of like the people who want to script their life, and kind of like the people who know Hulk Hogan. Okay.
I still don't... How are we doing on time?
I think we have like one or two last questions to go
Let's just talk about the elevator boys the rest of the time.
No, I must refuse, Joey. I must refuse. I'm
Because
sorry.
I still don't get it. I couldn't sleep. No joke. I only slept 2 hours last night for a number of reasons. Yeah, I'm not doing that well. But I kept thinking about. I still don't understand the elevator
Me
boys.
neither.
But should
It's
we save that?
beyond the reach
save
of
that
my
for
understanding.
dinner?
No, we stumbled over because it was a Spiegel article about the person behind making people like the Elevator Boys famous out of nothing. Why is that? Because of, again, Vince McMahon's in the entertainment world, and he gave like a portrait, and I stumbled over and then I Googled it, and it was really fascinating. How is this? Why? And yes, it is. And so that was our. We only talk about stuff like that usually. We have a lot of nerd stuff in common, my friend, a lot. But to enter the writing again, what really changed from you, Joey? I want to write, maybe with my son, that book about wrestling and everything. What changed now? Is there a major change in the final version of the book compared to your initial idea?
No, there really no. I love that question, but no, I had a vision from the beginning. It all started with I was watching a wrestling documentary, and I'll go on and admit whose it was. It was the Ultimate Warriors.
Yeah,
When I was 9 years old, I thought, hey, this man behaves the way that I want to behave. Kind of like that feeling you had when you said the cuss word. But he's this maniac character, the Ultimate Warrior, right? And so he died, but they did a documentary on him.
Yeah.
And I was watching the documentary, and the wife, the real life wife of this man, his real name was Jim Hellwig, which to me is a pretty badass name. I would have stuck with Jim Hellwig, but he became the Ultimate Warrior, and she said, and then as his fame and his ego grew, eventually Jim Hellwig left the house and the Ultimate Warrior came back home. And this light bulb, I like, that's a novel. It felt Shakespearean, and so that was the seed from which the entire novel grew. But no, it didn't change.
Congratulations!
Dankeschön.
No, it is really it's a fantastic book, and I want to use these last moments to say, Joey, you're really such a good writer. It's not only sorry, you have to take it now. We might not do it in Hamburg.
Can we get that wrestler back out here?
But he's really, for example, first of all, you have this political, liberal, reasonable voice that is so. It gives me hope. It really gives me hope that at least you are in Kentucky, and maybe there's someone like you in Virginia, and there's a woman in an office in Nebraska, and there must be people like you in America, and to maybe flip the table again. And but you're also like a fantastic writer, and I don't know if there are producers here or whatever, but you write really stuff. Torture the Artist could be an Oscar-winning screenplay at some point. I see this, I feel this. The same for Me Against Osborne. That's like a show on Netflix. Every page is like 1 minute of a high school day. It's like Ulysses in a pocket version, a bit, and it's like every episode would be 1 hour of that high school day. And man, this is your Netflix show, hopefully. And that's what I want to refer to the last question of the evening. What did you plan for the future? Do you want to go to the Netflix stuff that you mentioned, or do you have a new idea for a new novel?
I say it's a true fool who does not learn from his mistakes. So I must continue writing from the heart. And if that ends up on Netflix, cool. If not, at least it was pure.
But do you have an idea?
I do. I want to talk to you about it later.
Okay, fair enough. Then, before we end, first off, a big applause to Pascal Spalter, the wrestler. You can come. Pascal, who really was doing a great job with a work shoot, has his, I can say it in German actually, er hat seinen nächsten Auftritt am 7. Juni im Festsaal in Kreuzberg. Wer ihn live in Action sehen möchte, 7. Juni, Pascal Spalter auf der Bühne, heute bei uns. Danke, thank you so much, Joey. Thank you so much for Joey Goebel. And
thank you to Benedict Wells. I love this man. This is the kindest man.
Thank you. And last things, thank you everyone for coming on this wonderful sunny day. We know to appreciate that you still came. And Joey's gonna sign his books. Where actually? Here? Yeah, on a table, so if you want to talk to him or want to have his autograph, he's here. And thank you very much for coming. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you.